This head-up display, in my opinion, is a really good example that demonstrates how quickly the technology that is being used in a wireless head-up display has advanced, and in such a short time period of really only 6 months as well. Yes, the reality is, wireless head-up displays are getting better, and this video is going to hopefully show you how. There are still not a lot of head-up displays available at the moment that you can choose from when you're looking for one that can operate wirelessly. And because of the extra technology required to design a device like this, it usually also results in a lot of your options being quite oversized as well, which is another interesting feature about the design of this head-up display. Because I think this would also have to be one of the smallest wireless head-up displays I have ever seen before. Okay, it's time for another head-up display review, but not just any head-up display review, because this is also another wireless head-up display as well, which interestingly enough seems to be a type of head-up display that a lot of you are really interested in. So for that reason alone, you are probably going to really like this video because, in my opinion, the concept behind the design of this particular head-up display is incredibly good. I'm not saying this is the best head-up display that I have ever reviewed before, because it's not, but I do like it, and I am a really big fan of the thought and engineering that has gone into the design of it. It has been very cleverly thought out. So anyway, this is the T1S head-up display, and as I've already said, it's wireless. Well, kind of. No, it definitely still is wireless, but anyway, I will explain more about that to you in a moment. So as you can see, the T1S is another solar-powered head-up display. Well, not exactly solar powered, but instead it uses a solar panel as a way to keep the internal battery that is inside the device charged up. And that side of the design does work incredibly well with this device, I do have to admit that. So yes, like most other wireless head-up displays, the T1S also has an internal 650 milliamp hour rechargeable lithium battery. And thanks to the solar charging design, technically speaking, you effectively just need to charge it up and then leave the recharging process up to the solar charging itself. Of course, for the first time use, the internal battery of this device will need to be manually charged, and that is done by using the built-in USB-C port here on the side of the device. And yes, the fact that it is a USB-C port is also a nice design feature to see with this HUD as well. So no, you cannot rely on the solar charging feature for first time use, and that is because it takes approximately 15 hours for the solar charging to fully charge the internal battery. The good news is, once charged, the device is advertised to be able to work 100% wirelessly for approximately 2 weeks. Now, depending on how much the head-up display is used and is exposed to the sunlight of the day, this time period can, of course, significantly vary as well. For me, when testing this HUD so far, I personally just took it straight out of the box, plugged it into a USB charger at home for approximately 3 hours. Then I put it on my dashboard, and I have never needed to touch or recharge it again. So no, I definitely cannot complain about the battery life of this device, including its excellent solar recharging functionality either. But you know what? There's actually a really good reason why the battery life of this head-up display is so good. And that's because there's actually no internal GPS module inside the device at all to keep powered up all the time. Now, I bet I've confused a lot of you right now by saying that, so let me explain. First of all, yes, the T1S head-up display is another GPS-controlled HUD only, of course. But one of the really clever things about the design of this head-up display is, believe it or not, what you're actually looking at right here on my hands is just the main display head unit itself. You see, with the T1S, there are actually two completely separate parts to it. One, the 100% wireless HUD display itself, and two, this. This is a completely separate plug-in GPS module. So yes, to use the T1S head-up display, both parts are required. And don't worry, you don't have to buy them separately because everything is included in the box together. Anyway, let's just have a quick look at the GPS module here by itself for a second. Now this is actually just a GPS module only and nothing else at all. And all you need to do is just stick it onto your dashboard or windscreen, then plug it into any USB port in your car. And as you can see, yes, again, it is USB-C, so that's great. And no, this GPS module does not need to be used with a data cable for data communication at all. It only requires power. So it can then communicate with the T1S display head unit itself. And it does this wirelessly over a Bluetooth connection. With the GPS module powered up and connected to the HUD display, which is all done automatically in the background by the way, the HUD now has a way to calculate your speed because it now has GPS functionality. Without the GPS module, it does not. This design, however, has advantages and disadvantages. One huge advantage is increased battery life. You see, because a GPS module is relatively hungry to feed on power, by designing it as a separate module that is powered up from the car completely separate from the HUD display itself, is a huge benefit to the internal battery of the HUD display unit, because it can now forget about having to power up a GPS module at all. And for a battery powered device, that's really good news that it would be very happy to hear about, if it had ears of course. But now we need to talk about one disadvantage to an HUD design like this, and unfortunately it's also quite noticeable as well, and that's the slow response time. Yes, because the GPS module needs to wirelessly transmit your measured speed data to the HUD display head unit over its Bluetooth connection, this also results in a significant delay as well, in regards to the speed that the data is processed between the two separate devices. Now, while this is not a huge problem if your speed is smooth and constant, it will still result in delays when your speed is either increased or decreased. Now, I understand this might be hard to understand without actually seeing it, so you know what, now is a good time to show you what I'm talking about rather than just continue to keep trying to describe it to you. So let's go for a short drive so you can actually see the delay that I'm referring to, and that you also will most likely experience with the device as well. Okay, so I'm just cruising along at about 30 kilometers per hour, and now if I put my foot into the accelerator quite heavily, like I'm going to do now, you can see that the response time is a little bit delayed there. And the same thing when I'm braking as well, so doing about 35 now, and if I brake heavily, you can see that the response time is again quite delayed. So if you're just driving along at a constant speed, this is not really going to be a problem, but when you increase or decrease your speed, you are going to notice delays. So anyway, you have now seen and hopefully noticed the delay that I was talking about. If you didn't, then you can try comparing that to any one of the other head-up displays that you see on this channel, and you will surely notice a difference. If the GPS module was built into the actual HUD display itself, this would be noticeably different. As I said before, at a constant speed, this won't be an issue at all, but it's definitely something that I felt was still necessary to be mentioned in a product review. And as big a fan as I am of the design of this device, I still need to be honest about it. If I said to you that this is not the slowest responding head-up display that I have tested and reviewed before, only in regards to the speed response though of course, then I would be lying to you. But anyway, as I've already said, it's not going to be a huge problem for the majority of the time you're driving anyway. So now let's get back to another one of the really good features with this head-up display. And there are quite a few of them to show you as well. First of all, let's talk about the build quality. Because yes, it is pretty good. The plastic materials that have been used in the designing of this head-up display are good. The heat ventilation design is also good. The overall styling and looks of this head-up display are good. It does look really good just sitting here on my dashboard, in my opinion. And let's be honest, the wireless design is fantastic. The look that you get because of that is definitely a lot better than a cable designed head-up display. Everyone hates the look of cables and wires, and when sitting on your dashboard, not having a cable plugged into your head-up display does make it look so much better. I'm sure you would agree with that. It's a much cleaner look on the dashboard as well. Then there's the size of the device as well. It's, well, absolutely tiny. And you know what? I actually really like that about this device, because it actually sits really low on your dashboard as well, so it does not obstruct your vision at all. And yes, the LCD screen may be small in size, but the display font size is still large enough. and is more than adequate in my opinion. The LCD display screen is also nice and clear to view in all lights as well throughout the day. This head-up display does also support auto dimming as well, by the way, and the brightness of the screen is also manually adjustable as well. Now there is another little problem you will experience when using a head-up display like this as well, and it's a problem that you will also only experience when it starts to get dark at night, and it is this. Yes, the LCD display screen of the HUD will create a reflection in your windscreen, and this cannot be avoided. This is actually an extremely common problem with some other head-up displays as well, and it is actually also a problem that I demonstrated to you in my last wireless head-up display video review, which I experienced the exact same problem with. In this situation, the slim and low height of the T1S has an advantage though, because you can improve on this problem slightly by simply moving the device all the way to the back of the dashboard, as I will do now. This reflection is of course only going to be a problem if you have the HUD located directly in front of you in your line of sight, and doing this does improve this problem. If you have it located to the side of the dashboard and out of your line of sight, then you won't notice it as much. Of course, for your driving safety, a lot of head-up display manufacturers will tell you not to mount the HUD directly in front of you anyway, due to it being a device that can cause distraction. And this is another head-up display that has been designed not to really be mounted directly in the center of your line of vision here on the dashboard. But if you're like me, and you like to have your HUD mounted in this location, then do expect to be faced with this little problem. This is definitely not a reason to not purchase this device though. Through the day, this problem is completely invisible and unnoticeable, but it is still something that is worth mentioning. The T1S is also a very easy to use head-up display as well. So as you can see on the top of the device, there is just 3 buttons, and this is what they're used for. So button 1 here is basically just the power on off button. So you hold that down for 2 seconds. And that is how you turn the head-up display on and off. Button 2 in the middle is just a way to enter the settings of the device. So hold that down, goes into the settings, and then you can scroll through the different settings using button 1. And now if I go back to the clock again, I can demonstrate button 3, which is just used to basically change and adjust the settings of the device. At the moment, I'm just changing the clock. But when you go back to the main display and you hold down button number 3, you enter the tire pressure monitoring system. What? Yes, you did hear me correctly. This device, believe it or not, is actually not just a head-up display. It is also a tire pressure monitoring system as well. However, only when you purchase the Bluetooth TPMS sensors with it. I don't think there's actually a TPMS module that you have to purchase as well, but I could be wrong about that. None of these things are included in the basic head-up display kit though. I think there are actually 3 or 4 different versions of this HUD available, so I think the TPMS version can be purchased as a kit as well, but at extra cost as well, of course. The instructions are quite vague on this, so I can't comment on that side of things anymore, unfortunately. But anyway, this device did not come with the TPMS sensors, so I am unable to demonstrate this working for you. However, if you follow this channel, you would have seen me review TPMS systems before, so you will know exactly how these work, and they basically all work exactly the same. And if you don't, and you're interested, then you will find these video reviews on the channel if you want to watch them. And going by the views that some of them are getting, especially at the moment, a lot of you are watching them as well, so thank you, and that is nice to see. Now, I explained to you before that button 1 here on the top of the head-up display is the power button used to turn the device on and off. And some of you might be sitting there looking a bit disappointed now by that, because you were probably hoping that this head-up display could turn on and off with the car's ignition, weren't you? Yes, I can read all of your minds. Well, actually I can't. But because does the head-up display turn on and off with the ignition is one of the most popular questions you guys ask me on these head-up display reviews I do, I'm predicting that a lot of you are thinking about that right now. And the answer is no. And yes, obviously because this head-up display is completely wireless and it does not connect to your car's ignition system at all, it does not have any way to monitor the ignition status, no. But the good news is you don't have to turn the device on and off manually either, because it is automatically controlled, and this is how it works. So after 3 minutes of no activity, and with no information being wirelessly sent to it from the GPS module here, the HUD is intelligent enough to know this, and as a result it will automatically turn itself off. So you will never need to manually turn the device off every time using the power button. Remember though, it doesn't physically power off the device completely, it just puts it into a standby mode, which is a low power mode, but if you're not going to be using your car for a few days, I would recommend manually turning the HUD off to save battery power of the device. Now inside the display unit there is also a G sensor built into it. Of course, a G sensor, as most of you already know, is just basically a form of vibration sensor, and using this sensor is how the HUD turns itself back on again automatically as well. So for example, if the head-up display is turned off, when you return to your car and open and close your door, the internal G sensor of the HUD will detect the vibration of you doing this, and when it does this, it will then automatically turn itself on. It will also beep to confirm it's turned itself back on again as well, as you may have already heard before earlier on in the video. I suppose you want me to demonstrate this working for you, don't you? Alright then. Okay, so the head-up display is currently turned off and my door is currently open. So now when I close my door, this is what happens. The head-up display turns itself back on again. And for all of you that worry about these types of devices draining your car's battery, which from all of the comments I receive from you guys is a surprisingly large number of you, know the GPS module here of this device being plugged into your car's USB port and constantly powered up all the time is not going to drain your car's battery overnight. Mainly because car USB ports are also ignition controlled as well. But if your car's USB port that you are using is not ignition controlled, then yes, while leaving the GPS module plugged in permanently for days at a time, without the car being used at all, eventually can result in your car's battery level decreasing. This is only applicable over a long-term period. It's not going to happen in a period of 2 to 3 days, so this is definitely not something you need to worry about. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the features of this device. Now, as I have already mentioned, it does have the ability to support TPMS, tire pressure monitoring, but as I said before, I can't demonstrate this for you as I don't have the sensors to do it. Now, as you have probably already noticed, it does have a built-in clock as well, and yes, it does support both 12 hours and 24-hour time formats. I'll try changing that to 24 hours now for you. 8:06, need to change that to 20. Go into the clock settings, 12-hour format, change it to 24, save that. Now it's 24-hour format. 20:06 is the same as 8:06. It does also have a built-in calendar as well, as you can see displayed here at the bottom of the device. And it also includes a cabin temperature monitor as well, which is what this reading here is for. No, this is not monitoring the water temperature of your car. It has no way of communicating with your car's diagnostics, being a GPS controlled device itself, so it cannot do that, of course. So this temperature measurement here is just the temperature detected inside your car. And this works using a tiny little built-in temperature sensor inside the device itself. The instructions, however, do mention another version of this HUD being able to support water temperature. But again, the instructions are very vague on this, so I can't comment any more on that either. And it does also support both kph and mph speed units as well, which is good news because that means it can be used globally. So I'll try changing that as well. So go back into the settings. We're currently set at kph, and I should be able to change that to mph, and then save that. And now it's set up for miles per hour and not kilometers per hour. Now this little battery symbol here in the top corner of the head-up display is the internal battery level monitor, which you use to monitor the status level of the internal battery inside the display unit. This is of course really useful not only to keep track of how well the battery charge level is doing, but it also works as a solar charging monitor as well. So for example, notice how the battery symbol is flashing at the moment. No, this is not telling you that the battery is low and needs to be recharged. It's telling you that the battery is currently being charged by the solar charging. Now, if I put my hand over the solar panel, notice how the battery symbol will stop flashing. Like that. You'll also see the screen dim a little bit as well. Now, if I take my hand off the solar panel, it will start flashing again because the solar charging is now working again. So basically, if your battery is really low and you look at your HUD and notice the battery symbol is not flashing, now could be a good time to start worrying. Alternatively, of course, you can just plug the HUD display into a USB port to recharge it while you're driving, or find some sunlight quickly and prepare yourself for a pretty long drive, because it's going to take about 7 to 8 hours to just charge the battery up to a level of 50% again. So if you ever face this scenario, I would probably recommend option 1, using the USB cable. Now, what about speed alarms? Yes, this head-up display does also support that feature as well. It only supports one speed alarm, but it is both visual and audible. And it's also a speed alarm that I think a lot of you are actually going to like as well, because apparently a lot of you hate a speed alarm that continuously beeps all the time. And this one does not do that. It just beeps one time and then permanently illuminates the over speed alarm symbol on the display screen. So if I go into the settings, I'll try and find that feature for you. It should be easy to find. And there we are, A for alarm. And as you can see, I've got the speed alarm set to 50 kilometers per hour. So let's go for another drive now, and I can demonstrate this working to you. This speed alarm feature, by the way, can only be set up to trigger at a speed between 30 kilometers per hour and 180 kilometers per hour. But unfortunately, it also only works in segments of 10. So for example, you can set up a speed alarm of 50 kilometers per hour, as I've got here, or 60 kilometers per hour, as I've just changed it to, but not 55. As I said, it only works in segments of 10, as you can see. I haven't seen a head-up display speed alarm feature that works like this before, but that's just how this HUD speed alarm feature has been designed to work. I do have to be honest again though, I'm not a very big fan of that. So anyway, the setting up of this device, as I've already demonstrated, is done by just using these 3 buttons on the top of the device, and that is the only way you can do it, right? Well, although yes, that is how you can set up this head-up display, no, it's actually not the only way you can do it. You see, because this device connects to the GPS module over a Bluetooth connection, of course this means that this head-up display is also a Bluetooth device. So the manufacturer has also designed another feature into this device that allows you to set it up over a Bluetooth connection, but this time using your smartphone and an app. So this is the app here, and yes, it can be used with both iOS and Android as well. And as you can see, it's also designed with a very strong focus on the device's tire pressure monitoring functionality. Yes, while you can view your tire pressures on the HUD display itself, it might be more convenient to use the app to do this at times instead. Now, for all of the people that always ask me, but what's the name of the app? The name of this app is DJ TPMS. And before you go looking for it, while it should be pretty easy to find in the App Store, unfortunately Android users are going to have a lot of problems finding it, because you won't find it in the Google Play Store at all. And so you will need to scan the QR code supplied in the user manual with the head-up display to get it if you don't have an iPhone. Anyway, as I have already said, while this app is very focused towards the device's tire pressure monitoring functionality, it can also, however, be used to set up this device as well, because as you can see, there are a few features that they give you to allow you to do this. So for example, tapping on set brightness here, this will allow you to adjust the brightness of the display, including a few other related settings as well. And if the display is flickering right now, like pulsing very quickly, that's not a problem with the device, it's a problem with my camera. And as I said, I think in my last video, this is a problem I have all the time when it's a real bright day. Sorry guys, these videos are made on a budget. I can't afford expensive camera gear. If you type on set speed limit of the vehicle, this option obviously is what you would use to set up the speed alarm for the head-up display using the app. And as you can see, there is also an option to enable and disable this feature as well. However, as you have already seen, the speed alarm is a very quiet and undistracting feature with this particular head-up display, especially if you're comparing it to others. So in my opinion, you probably never want to disable this. Now we go back to the menu again. We've got set ratio. This is the option you would use if you want to adjust the speed accuracy of the device, not the speed response time, just the accuracy. So you would use this feature if the head-up display was not matching the measured speed of your speedometer for your particular vehicle. And synchronize time zone. This feature is designed to synchronize the clock of the head-up display with the clock of your smartphone. But unfortunately for me personally, this feature has not worked stably with my Samsung phone. It says it has synchronized my phone to the head-up display. I'll try that again, as you can probably see the message pop up there, synchronized. But after many attempts, it just doesn't seem to work, and I don't know why. I have literally tried everything, so maybe it just doesn't like my phone. This is of course not uncommon with some devices and Samsung phones, so I'm just going to use that as the excuse for now. One other feature that this HUD has that I do like is the automatic clock screensaver feature. As you have probably already noticed, the clock is automatically always displayed when the vehicle is at a standstill like it is now. It then automatically changes to the speed being displayed all the time, but only when you start driving the car and it's moving. I really do like this feature, and it's also a very common feature that is used by a lot of other head-up displays as well, as you will have probably already known if you follow this channel and have seen my other head-up display reviews. And everything else is basically just language settings, is basically just tire pressure monitor related, which unfortunately, as I said before, I can't demonstrate because I don't have the tire pressure sensors with this head-up display. But yeah, that pretty much covers all the important features of the app. Okay, and I think that now covers all of the features of this T1S head-up display, this version anyway. I have to admit, for a wireless head-up display, this is actually a really cool little device, and it's certainly packed with all of the technology and features that you would need as well. The technology has definitely improved with wireless head-up displays, so I can imagine that they're only going to get better from here on. Now, one other important thing to mention is when you are communicating with this HUD using the app on your phone here, you are actually communicating with the HUD display itself, not the GPS module at all. You may have been thinking the GPS module was also serving as the Bluetooth control module for the HUD that the app connects to, but no, it's not. The GPS module is solely for providing the HUD display with its GPS functionality and nothing more than that. You can connect to the HUD display using your app on the phone with the GPS module disconnected altogether as well. But of course, when you start driving, the HUD will not be able to display your speed if the GPS module is disconnected. One question you may all be wondering now is, do you have to use the app at all with this device? And although the app does have a few more features that can be useful when setting up the device, most of the features can also be set up manually as well by using the buttons on the top of the HUD display itself. So from my experience, no, you don't really need this. This device is still usable without the app even being installed. Of course, if you are using tire pressure monitoring features, the app is going to be very useful. And lastly, what does this HUD cost? At the time of this review, it's going to cost you about 60 New Zealand dollars. That of course is only for this particular version, and in my opinion, it is a pretty fair price as well, especially for the technology that you're getting. The only thing I'm not a big fan of with this HUD is the slower speed response time. But is it really going to be that much of a problem? No, not really. I think with a wireless head-up display, I would rather have good battery life, and with this HUD, you do get that. So maybe the faster response times are worth sacrificing. Oh, and I did forget about the 10 segment speed alarm limitation feature as well. I'm not a fan of that feature. And unfortunately, it's no different if you're using the app to set it up or doing it manually. Anyway, guys, that's the T1S Head Up Display, and that is also now the end of another video as well. Now, if you're currently looking to buy a head-up display at the moment, but now after watching this video, you may be thinking, I don't know if the T1S is really the type of head-up display for me, then remember to check out the head-up display playlist on this channel, because there are many other head-up display reviews there that you can watch as well, which can help you to make your final decision before making your purchase. If you are interested in purchasing the T1S HUD for yourself, I have put a link in the description area below where you can get it. If you like this video or found it helpful, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because it really does help support the channel, which helps me to keep it running, which also helps me to keep providing you with more car technology content to watch, which by the way you will find a lot more of on the channel. So thanks to everyone who likes watching this content on the channel. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you all in the next video.